Are you totally different when it comes to sex and copulation? Have you judged yourself out of receiving pleasure? Have you judged yourself into receiving pleasure in certain ways and excluded other ways? Would you like to know more about what else is possible with bodies? Would you like to create confidence in the bedroom and beyond? How has your sex life or lack of it affected other areas of your life? Everyone has the potency to be a sexual superhero. Get ready to listen, sense, and play with the sexualness that is you. Now, here's the host of The Pleasure Zone, pleasure diva and body whisperer, Milica Jelenic.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and for those of you who are brand spanking new listening to this show, you might have just stepped into a fantastical, exciting episode. How smart and awesome are you? For those of you who are not newcomers and you've been like, ooh, what an awesome topic. She hasn't talked about this yet. How cool is that? Well, I just want to welcome you all back. And I'm super grateful for all of you listening. So, for those of you who are new again, what do we talk about on this show? Well, we talk about pleasure, body, sex, all things sex-related. I love doing research on things anthropological, sociological, psychological, physiological, all related to sex, bodies, and pleasure. And when I find people that inspire me with their information and with their ease with speaking about sex and pleasure, I like to invite them on. And so today, actually, a few months ago, I saw something, I don't even remember what it was, but I saw something that Gaia Morrissette, who is going to be my guest this evening, posted on social media. I remember that because the other day I saw a live of hers on Facebook, and I was like, that woman, I'd like to invite her to be on my show. And I realized in my chat with her that I'd actually invited her to be on my show in August. So there you go. How does it get any better than that? And now the universe was like, yay, let's make it so. So who is this Gaia Morrissette with this fabulous last name like Alanis Morissette and the first name of the Earth goddess? How freaking cool. To either choose that or to have been born with that is really freaking cool. So Gaia has dedicated her life to making the world a happier, sexier, and safer place for us all. Well, thank you so much for doing that, Gaia.
You're very welcome.
That's awesome. She's a world-renowned holistic sexual wellness specialist. Fabulous title. BDSM Life Coach. Yes, that is a real thing. Instructor, author, international speaker, and founder of Succulent Living. Through her sexual wellness coaching private practice, she makes sex safe, makes sex better, and helps you take it to the next level. How freaking awesome is that? You inspire me, girlfriend. Her philosophy is that for true sexual wellness to happen, you must look at certain aspects, 5 aspects, in fact: play, sensuality, sexuality, exploration, and sacred. Her published book, Stop, Drop, and Wiggle, explores the first aspect, which is our foundation of happiness, play. She is also the founder and department head of the Sexual Wellness Coaching Certification Program at the Succulent Living Institute. Her education and training consists of sexology, trauma recovery, life coaching, tantra training, sex coaching, and lots of practice in the areas of play, healing, and exploring. So if you'd like to get a hold of this amazing woman, you can find her at succulentliving.com. And you can also find her specifically if you go to succulentliving.com/meet-Gaia, and you can contact her there. She's also on social media. You can friend her there, too. That's what I did. So I want to really welcome you and thank you for choosing to be on this show today with me, Gaia, with this topic, healthy, magical male ejaculation, which I think is scrumptious and splendid because it's very rare. I think for me, what really enticed me on your Facebook Live call the other day, you were talking about ejaculation, which I love that topic. And, there was something, an energy about you that was like, yes, this energy is required right now on the planet for sure. And what my awareness was is that I'm aware of all the hashtag Me Too that's out there. I'm aware of all of that, and I'm aware that there's another way to be with it where maybe we're not male bashing, but maybe we're acknowledging, maybe if we started to acknowledge the beauty and the potency of men, that maybe things could change, So there was something about it that I thought this could actually be a massive contribution to changing some of this stuff that's going on, because as much as I know it's like, yay, women are like speaking their truth, I also know that there's a lot of men out there that have truths, and things kind of go both ways. So something about it really just made me go, yay, let's talk.
I'm super excited to be here, and I love that you were on the Facebook Live this last week, talking about a topic and listening to me talk about a topic that is so juicy and so awe-inspiring in my life right now. It seems to be the theme. I mean, I do a lot of work with women and couples, but I've had the luxury lately of having some incredibly spectacular men come into my life and watching them grow from a place of unhealthiness with their sexuality into stepping into their divine masculine and stepping into loving themselves and moving in a new way and finding ways in which sexuality can not control their lives but inspire them and enlighten their lives. So, yeah, I'm super excited about talking about this. So, yay!
I love it. There were so many things you actually spoke about on that live, which will, if you actually find Gaia on Facebook, you can also find her Facebook Live from last week. But you're going to be listening to this, so check her Facebook Live out after you listen to this show. And there were some really cool points you made about ejaculation that I was like, yeah, you just put words to something that I've been aware of for a very long time, which I love, and I joke about with my lover. So one of the jokes I have with my lover is that I've told him many times that his ejaculation is magical, that it's healing and it's got healing properties, and he kind of laughs at me, and I'm like, no, I swear it's true. I don't think I'm just making this up, but I'm pretty sure it's true. So when you were saying something, I actually had the Facebook Live on super loud, walking into the bedroom, and my lover was lying down, and I was like, he was hearing you talking about it, and he's like, what are you listening to? I'm like, I'm learning about ejaculation right now. He's like, huh. And then I took you off to the bedroom, to the bathroom, and I was like having a shower while I was listening to the rest of it. And he was like, huh. I could hear him like walking across the hall. Like I could hear his interest. It was so funny, but he didn't want to be like too obvious about it. And it's really funny because he might actually be listening to this show of all shows. I've had over 165 shows of the Pleasure Zone, and he's listened to 3. And when I told him what tonight's topic was, he's like, oh, I might have a listen in on this. He's not home with me right now, so he'll be off in another city listening to us right now. That'd be so cool. I will only know when he admits to it. So I really thought that was neat. He was pulled into the whole idea and the concept, and I think he's like, oh, so there might be something to what she says, that I call his ejaculation the magical elixir. Like if my throat is a little bit sore, I'm like, can I just give you a blowjob because your ejaculation it's just like magic. And he's like, okay. I'm like, actually, it's worked every time, so what the heck? So can you, right? And that's just a fact.
That's a fact.
Can you give these people listening a little information about why maybe that just might be true?
So the beautiful thing about male ejaculation is that there's all sorts of incredible properties in the ejaculation. So there is like high magnesium, zinc, which are really good for sore throats, actually. So I'm surprised I didn't help heal your throat. Not to mention the coating helps to soothe, right? So these are some of the reasons why, logistically, that's why that's working. And so there's lots of vitamins and minerals, and there's incredible properties to it. The other beautiful thing that when you receive it vaginally, as you're receiving it vaginally, there's actually mood stabilizers. So if you are kind of out of whack a little bit emotionally, having your lover, if you're fluid bonded and not worrying about babies, having some ejaculation inside you will actually help you emotionally stabilize. It's also a beautiful thing that it has anti-fungal and antibacterial properties. So if your pH balance is out of whack, you got a yeast infection, these kinds of things, it can actually help to heal it all.
So cool. I think it's interesting about the mood stabilizing. We have another ongoing joke in our house that if I'm even slightly appearing crabby, he's like, "Are you hungry, tired, or horny?" And I'm like, I think and he's like, "Let's go with horny first and see where it goes." And it's like, if I'm still crabby after that, I might actually be hungry, but usually I'm good to go after that. Yay, mood stabilizer.
Yeah, woo!
So, there's a lot that my body's been aware of that maybe hadn't put words to it. And there's been a lot of playful joking about it in a way that I'm aware he has a capacity to heal with sex, not just because he ejaculates, but because of who he is and his capacities. So it doesn't surprise me that every man's ejaculate would be that. And it's funny to me how many, when you look at religions of the world who have made masturbation for men, like, that's so wrong, if you're going to spill the seed. Somewhere they knew there was some magical essence in it, and they took it as super valuable in some ways, kind of mixing the whole thing up, you know what I mean? So it's interesting how far back it goes that it's been known to be like a magical, there's like magical components to this. It's cool. I just find it's really cool.
I also think too that that it's life force energy. So that those were all the logistical properties and things like that, right? Like geeky, nerdy side of me, right?
I love that.
But from an energetic standpoint, it's the life force energy. It's part of creation of life. From the sperm goes and swims to the egg to create life. Like, it is life force energy, figuratively and literally. And so I think part of that whole concept of spilling the seed, or from a tantric philosophy, which is you want to build that sexual energy and you want to keep it within yourself instead of wasting it. These kind of concepts, I think that's where it comes from. And it's powerful because it is life force energy, right? And and it's about, I think, one of the things that I really have been inspired to talk about recently is that it's important to, how do we move in a way where there's a reclaiming for men, there's a reclaiming of their sexual life force energy, their ejaculation, and moving in a new way with it, instead of it just being self coming from a place of shame or self-loathing, or I'm just horny and I have pumped up energy, so I just need to go, and like not really being conscious about the power of their ejaculation and how it's going to serve them in that day. I think that's the thing I'm really excited about talking about, is that we can move in it in our sexuality. We can move in all these different ways, and men in their sexuality, they can move in a place of being consciously aware of, I have this magical seed. and I have this magical elixir.
Totally.
And how do I want to use this magical elixir? And what do I want to do with this magical elixir today? Or do I want to save this magical elixir and build the sexual energy within myself? Do I want to share it? Like, what do I want to do with it? Right? Do I want to utilize it as a cathartic emotional release? Because I think that's another really important part for men in relation to, the feminine. We get to have our periods, and we get to purge emotionally and energetically and physically every month. And men don't really have that mechanism the same way. So they can use their ejaculation in a conscious way to use that as an emotional purge, a physical purge, a purging of, sickness, pain, all these kinds of things, if it's with intent. So.
Absolutely. I did hear you talk a little bit about, the energies behind, like, when you are as a man, when you're ejaculating, like if you are ejaculating and you have all that pent up energy, anger, frustration, maybe even resentment towards your lover. Like when people do makeup sex or angry sex, I've never been a fan of that. And I'm aware that I'm aware. And I'm aware that on occasion, whenever it was like presented as an option, it was like the biggest turnoff. I was not like interested in having all emotional baggage dumped on me. It's like you can go dump it and then let's talk, right? Like I don't know. I thought it was quite funny, but there was often this like, wow, why don't you like want to do makeup sex? It's so hot and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, you'll feel better, and I'm going to want to kill people. So. Not really, just saying. So when we talk about using the ejaculation for men as a purge, for men who are choosing more consciousness, can you give them maybe a tip or a full shaft on what they can choose? Whatever's fun, right?
Awesome. Sorry. Okay, continue.
So like maintain or calm. No. So yeah, if you can kind of share something there so that they might be able to like maybe masturbate with more consciousness or change something a little more awareness.
Well, I think that, before you start to masturbate or whack off or self-pleasure, whatever language works for you, that you decide, like, why am I doing this? Is this a self-exploration? Is this a purging? Like, set your intention before you start so you'll know how best you're going to, achieve this. So if you've decided that you're going to use it as a purge, then one of the things you can say, kind of like a mantra, which is, it's safe for me to release all that no longer serves me, or I choose to release all that no longer serves me, whatever language that resonates with you. And you just say that over and over again as you're building your sexual energy. And when you go to ejaculate, you just keep repeating that until you ejaculate. So therefore, energetically and emotionally, your intentions have been set.
I love it. I can just see all the men now turning away from porn and going to mantras instead. Thank you, Gaia. That's changed their attitudes already. It's pretty funny. But can you imagine? Actually, it'd be so cool if there was like a conscious porn, which I've been thinking about this for years. If we could actually have a conscious, aware sort of pornography where maybe people did have conscious ejaculation, conscious being very aware of bodies and kind to the bodies. That would be just fantastical. So any of my friends listening out there who are in the film industry and or are in the industry and would like to change up the industry, you can just invite me to come play. I'm in. I'll be part of that creation of conscious pornography. So
Me too.
Yeah, cool. Is it still pornography if it's conscious, or does it become something else? Well, whatever that creation is, I'll choose into that.
I don't know. I like to call it ethical porn.
Ethical porn. I like it. It's great. It's not like sweatshop porn. This is ethical porn. I like it.
That's right.
We're on to sin too. We've already got 3 people choosing ethical porn. This is awesome. So I really like that. I really like the idea that now the men are going to, have a tool to be able to go out and have a mantra to use so that they can have more conscious masturbation. How fun is that? I personally do like masturbation and copulation quite not. I mean, I'm sure I could be more conscious with it, and at the same time, I utilize a lot of energetic work with my own body and with my partner for creating my life, right? So I kind of take it as a sex magic kind of thing, like, hey, for like bringing in work, for expanding my business, all that sort of stuff. So I think it's, I know for me that that's way more fun as an exploration and a play to use it as a creation than to just like get off. Like even when my husband's like, "Are you horny?" I'm like, actually, I'm like frustrated in business right now, but we'll call it horny. And cool, now let's go change that energy and see what happens. So yeah,
it's an incredible, like, powerful state change, emotional state change, and manifester. When you move from a conscious place. But I also want to say that there is also room for the primal sort of get in, get out, don't mess my hairdo, experience.
Totally.
And as long as you're aware, right, and as long as you're like aware that that's what you're choosing, I think that's the conscious part of it. As long as you're aware of that that's what you're choosing because that's what's going to serve you today and that's what you need in that moment, then I think that's the point that we want to move from, right? Is that all of it's perfect, all of it's wonderful, but coming from a place of choice versus a place of default.
Yeah, we always go to quickies, so that's what we're going to do today. Or it's like, I'm choosing this today. And is this fun for my body? Oh, cool. Actually, it's fun for my body. Awesome. So then it goes from being so wrong or making your lover wrong for quickies or making your lover wrong for anything. Let's face it. I hear a lot of talk, people making their lovers wrong for all kinds of things. So if we could just stop making each other freaking wrong about what's being created, know that you're actually part of this creation and acknowledge your choice in it. They actually go, wow, I chose that, cool. And that could be after the fact. And you can also be aware of it beforehand and go, hey, would this be fun to choose? And start to step in into more awareness, even when it comes to masturbation. Like, is it fun to like be masturbating so aggressively or rough or whatever? Just out of, it might not be fun. It just might be the default, right? So having more, and even if you are masturbating rough and crazy, it's out of consciousness. Like your body is like, yes to that, rather than your default, which I think is an amazing thing to utilize sex as a tool to actually create more consciousness and to get us out of our default systems. Because we have so many when it comes to copulation. We're like amazing at that. Default, turnover, do this, do that. Okay, cool. Stroke 3 times, do that. All right, good to go. Like there's so much crazy default programming for sure that could shift. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
because we have our orgasmic.
Choice.
Yeah. Well, we have our orgasmic patterns, right, that are so anchored in that default, so anchored into all these things. And it's what motivates us. It's how we move. It's about how, we touch our partners, like all of that kind of stuff. And the truth is none of that's fucking sexy. At the end of the day, just moving from that place of reactiveness versus a choice, one's a place of empowerment, the other one's a place of the opposite, is of powerlessness, where it controls you instead of you choosing it.
For sure. And it is super sexy to have choice. Like, man, I don't know if there's anything more sexy than choice. It's like, I really like intelligence and choice. Man, that's hot.
Yep.
So what I think we're going to actually do right now is we're going to head off to break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the ejaculation itself, I think. And I'd like to really look at, too, the difference between what would be considered healthy or not healthy which we kind of tapped into, and I think there's more in that conversation. So we're going to look more at that and the magicalness of ejaculation when we come back from this commercial break.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution, taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255. That's TALK. Or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email at milicajelenic.com. Now back to the program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight I have a guest. Her name is Gaia Morrissette, and she is like a little sexy diva. Not just like that. She is one, and she has expertise in all areas of sex and all that fun jazz. So tonight we are actually talking about healthy, magical male ejaculation. I really like that she added the male part in the title because there is female ejaculation for those of you who don't know that. So, and there is magic in that too. But tonight we're talking about male ejaculation. So Gaia, when I was looking for I was looking to create a little photo for this show as a representation, and the first thing that came to my mind was, how do I get away with representing a penis ejaculating without putting a penis ejaculating on the photo? And I found these fabulous photos of, and I didn't actually use it because I preferred your face, and there was these fabulous fountains that are like penis fountains, like all over the world, and faucets that are like penises. And I was like, isn't that fabulous? They're just like, some of them are just like in the middle of town squares, and they're carved. They just look like erect penises that are totally carved as fountains. And I thought, geez, they're, not only do we know there's something magical about it, there's something that historically has been known as magical about it, and people revere it. When you look at different religions, you look at Hinduism, they even have statues, right, of penises that get to be worshipped. And you have, and you have these fountains now all over the world that the pictures are great. Like, people go up to the fountains, they're like rubbing the head of the fountain, and it's just fun. There's beauty in it, right?
There's incredible beauty in it. I would love to be able to put that fountain on my front lawn.
Right?
Awesome.
It would be awesome.
That would be awesome. However, unfortunately, because of some of our cultural issues, I would probably get a ticket. At the bare minimum, might. I would get a ticket, right?
You just might. You could always do it indoor, like in like maybe in your office space where you do your
Yes.
consultations with people, the bathroom
Yes.
faucet could actually be like a penis, and the knobs could be the balls. Wouldn't that be freaking awesome?
Before I became a holistic sexual wellness specialist, I owned a pottery drumming teaching studio for 12 years, and I made clay dildos and clay penises and like clay wall hangings, and so lots of, I had this wonderful coat rack that was made of penises. So when you came in,
Amazing.
my house, you'd hang your coat on the penis, right? So yes, I'm all about.
Of course you would. That's what I would like. I would really like a penis coat rack. I took glass blowing for a really short period of time just because I'm fascinated by the meltingness, and I find it so freaking sexy. And I also find pottery really sexy too. Just like the molding and the shaping, and it's like so freaking sexy. And there was a woman who, so I would follow kind of like the school that I had taken this class at. And they would have an art show every year. And one of the years, there was a woman who made these beautiful glass penises that she even etched them, so some of them looked like they had cum dripping down them. They were magnificent.
Nice.
So I could see that you would like make pottery penises. Of course you would. That's the first thing I would make if I got my hands on clay too. So, naturally, and I'd probably make it so I could drink out of it, just like sip out of the tip or something. I would do something with that. Salt and pepper shaker penis. Like I'd go all out. I know that for sure about me. So
well, we might have to have a pottery making. We might have to have a pottery making.
Oh my God. I was so where do you live, Gaia?
I'm outside of Toronto in Canada.
What the what? So you're near me. Outside of Toronto, where? I'm like halfway to Ottawa. I don't even know where you are. That's so funny.
I'm in Waterloo. What the
what? Girlfriend, you're so close. I'm coming to you, and so I took glass blowing at Sheridan, like very temporarily, for like a course for like the end of season. They had like you could just go for like 3 weeks and go glass blowing. But you're outside of Waterloo and you're making penises. Where have you been all my life? Oh my God. I'm so excited for you to exist, and you're like close to me. You're only like 4 hours from me. This is insane. Yeah. I'm so excited for this.
Right,
I was thinking, oh my God, she probably lives in California and I'm never going to meet her and whatever. At least I get to talk to you on my show. I'm so excited that you live in Ontario.
I know. This is awesome. This never happens. So you and I, we have lots of time to hang out and get into all sorts of trouble together.
This is so exciting for me. Oh my God. I could rustle up, I'm sure, quite a few people to have a penis making pottery class with you. Rhonda will come in from Texas for that. For sure, right, Rhonda? You're in. And she's putting that coat rack on her next year's Christmas list, and she's like, absolutely, she's in. That's just awesome.
That's awesome. Okay, so back to ejaculation.
Yeah, I know. I just got so excited I get to actually meet you in person one day. So, yes, back to the magic of ejaculation and the beauty of the magic of the penis, which is just like an amazing creation unto itself. And the fact that, to me, it's like just an amazing thing that within the man's body contains so many billion sperm with all that potential like life. Billions of the little being creatures, all in their potential states, like waiting to create something. And if they don't create babies, what else can they create? Like, what magic can that ejaculate be? Tell me about it, girlfriend. What magic can it be?
Well, it could be co-creation, like a co-creation from an energetic standpoint, not just creating babies, but energetically with your partner. You could co-create, manifesting. You talked about business stuff, right? So you could be co-creating magic in your business, more abundance, healing. You could be using that creation and that life force energy to, I think that if you're not going to make babies with it and you're not going to use it from a place of a purge, then I feel like in order for it to manifest into creation, it needs to be co-created energetically with something else. Like, I think that it's like, right, there needs to be a co-creation. So for it to use it from a life force energy standpoint. Yeah.
Awesome. So I have some awareness of like what co-creating it with something else would be like. For people who are listening and they're like, what does that mean? Do you have some examples you can share with the audience about that?
Okay, so before having a sexual experience of intercourse, we'll call intercourse, or mostly I'm going to go with mostly intercourse because that's the easiest way to co-create from an energetic standpoint. So from an intercourse standpoint, before you are going to engage, to have both of you set your intentions. Like, what are your intentions? What are you creating? Are we just fucking and rutting and having a good time, or are we going to make some magic together, right? So if we're going to make magic, then we have to be consciously aware of what that magic is that we're going to create. Are we going to create more financial abundance in our lives? Are we going to co-create more, from a business standpoint, a better job? Or you could be having more clients. Or I think the key is about setting the intention and both of you knowing what the intention is.
True. I've done it without telling my partner what my intention is. I've done it. I've just utilized him as a source for creating my life. His life is improving too, mind you. I don't know if I've never actually asked him, do you set an intention before we have sex? I'll ask him that 5 years later. Whether he actually chooses that or not, I don't know if he does, although he is magic in so many ways. He might be doing that because like our money inflows have increased a lot since we've been together, and ease of life in our bodies, like ease in my body, has increased. And when probably the first time I did have, let's say, like copulated with him, it's like the first time I fucked it up real good. I was my body, I was having my period at the time, but he was a bright star who was willing to get his sword bloody, and he just went right in, and it was such an amazing gift. It was the first time that I had somebody be willing to do that it alleviated all the cramps I had. And I didn't have, my body changed after that, so I didn't have like menstrual cramps like that anymore. I had other like intense energies, but they were like more in my head rather than in my crotch. So it was interesting how it shifted after that. And part of my energy that I was asking for at the time was I'd been asking diligently, like, what does my body require in order to change this cramp stuff that I was like buying as mine? And he definitely facilitated some change there. So penises are magic. So is ejaculate.
They are. And so is ejaculate. But I think it's important that it's about, fundamentally at the end of the day, it's about what intentions people are setting. Because yes, you can have, like, one of the things that I do in my own personal life is I've anchored to with every orgasm, may my bank account fill with money. And
I do that too. I like that.
It's beautiful. And so the more orgasms I have, the more money I make, right? So it kind of justifies why I'm taking a whack-off break.
Exactly. I take whack-off breaks all the time. Just so happy to know that I know somebody else who takes whack-off breaks. It's so fucking great. I don't smoke cigarettes, so I have a whack-off break instead. Absolutely.
So with that intention, when I have a conversation, or I have sexual experience with my partner or one of my partners, depending on what we're talking about, the beautiful thing is that my intentions are always in line with more orgasms I have, the more money I make. Now, when I want to, and never changes, whether I'm by myself or with a partner. But if I want to consciously, with the help of my partners, either ejaculate or their energetic flow and their masculinity and balancing out my femininity and those kinds of things, then I allow myself to have that conversation so that I can, and I might be able to support their intentions as well, right? The more orgasms I have, I can support whatever it is that they're wanting to call into their lives. So I think like I said, I'm a firm believer in setting intentions beforehand and, making your conscious choice of what's going to serve you in that moment, what's going to serve your male partner in that moment, and how you can support each other in that.
I really love that. I know that I have a family member who had a very conscious birth, and so they set their intentions. They actually, they did a bunch of like mantras and prayers, and then my niece was, well, I'll just say my family, what the hell, I've only got one brother, and my niece was born, and everything about the birthing process and the sex that created her everything was very consciously chosen. And she's a really incredible person. So it's very cool to see what energies come through when you do have that, like setting the intention, and that you're aware of what you would like to show up, and you're like, this is what I would like, universe. Cool. Thank you for working with me on this. That's just an amazing thing to me. And I've seen other people who are like basically completely unaware, and they have children show up, and it's a different energy that can show up. And sometimes there's like resentment towards the kid or resentment towards the partner. It's like, well, if you both clearly were choosing it and you're aware that you're choosing it, because we all know everything is choice, but that you're aware that you're choosing it makes such an impact. I from what I can see in my niece, it makes such an impact in the way that somebody is in the world, like just the way they have some ease with it. It's just
it's just fantastic, because everything from the open, like the receiving of the, from the eggs receiving of the sperm to, the co-creation of that to the like that child is being created from a place of like pure love and creation and intention, and as that child is developed in the womb, there's still that love and the intention, and like there's all these things that are energetically happening that's helping her create her DNA, and it's creating her nervous system, and it's creating her body, and so all these things are being created with intention, instead of the anxiety, the stress, this wasn't planned. I might have felt shame about it happening. It might have happened one night when we were drunk and we forgot to put the condom on or whatever, right? Like moving from that place and being created, like life being created from that place versus that place of intention is like a world of difference. And I mean, it would have been beautiful for all of us to have been able to be created from that place,
Would be, yeah. So I think there's going to be more. I think the more people are aware that it's an option, the more they can choose it, right? For people who haven't creatively explored outside of their own thinking, just knowing there's an option. Oh, cool, there's that option, and just like with the creation of a child and the conscious creation of that, it's like if that creates such a beautiful energy in a baby, what kind of beautiful energy can you create with your business, with your money inflows, all of that? That's where you can diminish the stress, you can diminish the anxiety and all those energies like you were talking about. If you conceived a child under other conditions, what might be going on? The drunken night. You might have drunken one night, started a business as well, and you're like, oh crap, I just started a business, but you weren't really conscious when you started it. You might be having some struggles there. Just might. Yeah. So we're going to head off to a commercial break, and if you guys want to, masturbate consciously for more money inflows while we go to break, I totally encourage that. Just hope you join us back when we do come back from break. So we'll head there now.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution, taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255. That's TALK. Or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email at milicajelenic.com. Now back to the program.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight my guest is Gaia Morrissette. So when we headed off to break, Gaia, one of my thoughts was for people out there who are not choosing heterosexual copulation and say you've got two women together, what, if they're not receiving like male ejaculation, what can they do as a couple that might be similar? Or is there something? Or is it really like the male body and the ejaculation that balances it out? So if you could talk a little bit about that, I'd love to hear.
Oh. Okay. All right. So from an energetic standpoint, you can, as long as one partner is tapping into, at a particular moment, of masculine energy. So from an energetic standpoint, you can still co-create. But from that magical properties that we got going on with the ejaculation, that in itself that's the ejaculation. Like it's what's produced in the male body, and it's how it's produced, and there's, all the biochemical stuff and the chemicals and the nutrients and the minerals and all that kind of stuff. That's what is the big part of the magical properties of it, right? So energetically, you can utilize it when you tap into, one partner taps into that masculinity and the other one taps into the femininity. So one is a receptacle of receiving and the other one is a receptacle of giving, right? And the ebb and flow between those two energies. But from just a pure ejaculation is magical because it's ejaculation.
I like it. So for men who are predominantly choosing male partners, they might actually experience, they'll have their own ejaculate, and then they'll get to receive from other men the magic of the male ejaculation in different ways. I would think that's kind of like, I think if I was a man, I might actually choose that just to experience it, just to find out what that's like. Just a curiosity.
Well, but
right?
The thing is, though, is that there needs to be a balance, because you can't have too much. If you have too much of one, whether like on an energetic level, from a creation standpoint, from like a co-creation standpoint, if you have way too much testosterone and way too much ejaculate, and you don't have enough feminine energy to balance that out, then you're imbalanced. And so to balance that out, you would need to do, from an energetic standpoint, the same thing as if for two women energetically would need to do the same thing, right? So like... Yeah,
so pulling in the feminine.
The yin and the yang, the giving and the receiving, that there's a balance in that, right? And that's not, when I say masculine, feminine, that's not a gender, so to speak. It's just the energy of the divine feminine in all of us and the divine masculine in all of us. And that feminine energy is an energy of creation and destruction, And the masculine energy is that energy of stillness and foundation and balance.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Last week on the show, we talked a lot about goddesses. And originally this week was going to be about like demigods and gods. And I thought, well, this is even more fun to talk about magical male ejaculation. We'll talk about gods and, demigods one day and the magic of the energies of the male energies. And I think we're really tapping into that today with the healthy magical male ejaculation, which I just love the title. And when I spoke the title out loud to my lover husband, he was like, yeah, that's great. Like, he was so excited. And I think there's so many male bodies out there that are so excited to be acknowledged for the magic of their ejaculation, especially if they were ever made wrong for it, or if anybody ever like belittled them. Oh, like, you're jacking off again. And they're like, but I'm trying to create my life, somewhere in their knowing they're kind of like, feeling like, but I know something. It's actually creating for me. So I really, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think, that's that beautiful healing piece, right? Of the, how do we move into that healthy magical ejaculation versus the just whacking off and feeling bad or predatory or, all the things that from a cultural standpoint has been supported and has been, everybody's been conditioned, right? Whether it's women being conditioned to feel that way about men in general or men feeling that way about themselves. So, I think the thing that I want everybody to be left off with is that doesn't have to be the norm. That doesn't have to be what it looks like. And you can choose something new. And when we're consciously and we choose, we're empowered. And that's fundamentally what I want to say, like leave off everybody with, is that this is a beautiful new way of empowerment and men and male, that divine male magical ejaculation is delicious and yummy and
It's so true. Yummy to the point where I actually had an idea of creating a place called it was the Rubin. It was actually going to be called what the heck was the name of it? Well, the gist of the place is that you would actually go in, you could pick your man that would then ejaculate into your drink. Oh, shake and shake is what it was going to be called. The man would shake it off, shake it into your drink, and you would have a shake made of the shake and shake. It was like high protein, high minerals. I'm just thinking it's a great idea. Yes, there would be STD testing involved. Don't know if Toronto is ready for that, but I'm really excited about the possibilities because it's something that nobody is probably doing in the world right now.
And one of my lovers, I just want to say, one of my lovers just absolutely, I love he ejaculates for me and keeps it for my smoothies. I can put it in my smoothies.
Wow. See?
The best tasting smoothies ever.
Right? So I'm onto something. I know
You're totally onto something.
The shake and shake. Fuck, man, I got to get that started. I've been talking about it for like 2 years now. I want to really thank you, Gaia, for being on today. We have about 1 minute left. So do you have anything that you're creating in the very near future that you'd like to let everybody know about?
Yes, actually, I'm creating a male sexuality group program, and I'm really excited about that. That's going to start in March. So any men who are like, okay, you know what, I want to learn more from her and I want to learn how to go deeper into this and change how I move with sexuality and understand what, women desire and all this kind of stuff, please reach out to me and I can give you all the details. So that's one really exciting project. And the other really exciting project is I have, as a BDSM Life Coach, I have a certification program to certify pro doms as well as help couples wake up your inner dom.
That is freaking cool. That is just freaking cool.
That's in May.
That's just awesome. In May. Okay. Something I'll be playing with and considering. So thank you so much for being on the show. You can find Gaia at succulentliving.com. So please contact her. because she's just fun, right? So I really look forward to meeting you one day in person, Gaia. I want to thank all you guys for listening, and come next week when we have no idea what the topic will be.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone. Milica Jelenic will return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.